Is it worth it going back to your old job? Now, since 2 weeks after I had started my job, I'm less likely to make videos on YouTube, of course. So you're gonna see me less frequently, and it sort of kind of worries me to the point where I might not be consistent enough. Anyways, I want to go ahead and analyze some things here. I'm very peculiar about what is actually happening onto the company I work so far, so I wasn't too sure that I want to do a video right away. Plus, I was really exhausted going between work and home. Like you can tell, like literally tell. Of course, there were, you know, so much of being under pressure, and I just feel like I have the sense of entitlement of catching a break every now and then. But is it worth going back to your old job? I say I don't have an answer for that. But after 2 weeks, it's not too bad. I mean, I've worked 4 days in the last 2 weeks since I started April 10th. Couldn't help notice that the owner is no longer running the business. Basically, gave it up to his son, who is now running over the place. Who's now running the place. It's probably been this way since I left, maybe a year or so, but I don't know. I noticed that we don't work as hard as I remember. Like he seems cool and laid back and all, but after some changes, are different from when I first started here. We were scheduled to be here at 7:30 instead of 7. So usually everyone comes in about after 7:30. Then we get off a little early. Like I said, the higher ups are usually the guys who are in charge. Comes here at 6:45 to 7 o'clock, and everyone else has to be here about 7:30, and we have to wait to be clocked in after a few minutes. Like, I can understand there's some cutbacks on the job and stuff like that, and they really have to save money. Like I understand that. That's something I noticed like the first week, maybe like the second day or third day. I mean, the higher ups are usually coming in and doing some paperwork, of course, and loading equipment onto trucks and such and stuff like that. What else has to be clocked in? Like when you're scheduled, I'm scheduled to be here by 7:30. I have to wait at least 5 minutes to be here. I hear stories about people waiting at least an hour or two before they get scheduled to work in, but like literally, they would make you wait until you get clocked in, just until everyone else arrives again. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining here, and I don't want them to find out that I make content here talking about their place. But again, I don't want to jeopardize my employment, and I don't have any source of income, so I want to keep my job, right? I want to keep it, but I think it's a good thing for me to accept it. 7:30 isn't too bad compared to 6:45, since I did have trouble getting up and ready for work in the past. Like I don't think it's necessarily a law in the state of Florida that an employee will make you wait until a specific time to clock in, but I couldn't help it. Like I did some snooping on Google for a little bit and relating around the topic. Like this would be considered compensable time. There's no law that violates a restricted time where or when an employer can schedule you to be at work or clock in for work. I mean, the way that it sounds, almost like um almost like an engagement of waiting, which sounds kind of accurate in my case. The good thing about it is I do less work when I clock in and clock out. I mean, I will spend a couple of minutes warming up mentally and physically and speaking with other coworkers of what is being done today. When the original owner was here, we had to clock in early and having us work until time to head out on doing properties and stuff like that, which can be very exhausting, which is a set of relief of weight off my shoulders. I mean, the sketchy part is I'm getting paid less than I am now. Like seriously. Even my hourly rate is much more than what I used to get paid though. But again, I don't want to jeopardize my employment. So again, I did catch on to this. Like my first day, I was basically filling up paper and W-4 forms and stuff like that. But this happened 3 times last week and all last week. At some point, I had to wait 30 minutes because the higher ups were in a meeting. But yeah, I'm not getting, like I said, I'm not going to say more about that. I mean, my guess is that it has something to do with cutting back hours, so they need to save money, and there's just no hassle about that right now. It's slow season, so rain will catch up sometime soon. As we are in the middle of spring, of course, there are new faces around and old faces too, I know. But as far as the new faces come and go, I'm not too keen on how many of these employees will stick around. Like, it's predictable that some of them might inevitably quit. I mean, with busy season coming up, there will be a lot of work to keep up with. Weather's getting warm, and I doubt that some of these guys will be able to withstand or handle the heat. That I that I could be wrong with just a few of them sticking around. A few of them sticking around, it could be a miracle, if they stay longer than I expected, though. Um, but some usually don't stick around with this company and always have the reasons of leaving with being treated unfair because they don't like being ordered to do the work as an excuse. Some people don't know where they walk themselves into by signing up for certain positions. After all, this is a manual labor job. Like, some usually would quit on the spot after a while, but some will stop showing up. I mean, I could be wrong. I know this company too well, despite me being here 13 months before disappearing prior 2 years ago. I mean, it happens so frequent as far as new faces come and go. I just hope not to have any problems with them. And of course, I also noticed that the old problems never went away. Personally, I didn't have a say about this. Communication is something that I am probably going to struggle with because it happened every time I get employed. I usually would always have a problem with speaking my mind, and then because that I don't want to bring my personal problems to work, which I promise to keep to myself. Like, so far, things are going okay, fine, okay. I don't want to rely on trials and tribulations to make me feel accepted. I usually people will start friendships at work. I don't know anything about making friends, volunteer for the community. I'm equipped to the idea of knowing people in the workplace and hanging out with them afterwards. Alas, it isn't very accurate to me as I'm a hermit, so I never leave the house as much. I'm a stay-at-home father as well. I just fixed up a bike by replacing an inner tube yesterday, which would be transportation to work and back instead of asking for rides or walking. I mean, walking is great, but it's very tedious, and it doesn't really motivate me. Like, what do you mean, Achman? I mean, it's nice to go out for a walk for the exercise, but walking can take you so far, it becomes so tedious that you might have to require some wheels to get to point A to point B in order to put food on the table. Like, a lot of you guys will be surprised that I still have my license my learner's permit at 28. I'm still working my driver's license pretty much soon here. I'm wanting to get it. Like, I've had a permit for 5 years since 23 in 2018. Like I said, I've drove on and off here and there, so I've been practicing a lot. But like I said, right now, I don't have much time to go out and socialize because of the livelihood I sustain. Some of these coworkers might seem potentially ideal to hang out with, but because my livelihood outside the world, I really don't hang out with anyone and would prefer to stay home. Again, it's just livelihood that comes with so much time constraint to do anything, which solely affects the way I communicate around people. I believe that being at home for a prolonged period of time really takes a toll and does affect the way you work, especially around other people. I mean, it's not hard to be distracted by trying to relate to your peers. This is something that I have been trying to work on for years. I mean, I have a great fear that it might interfere with work so much. Like, I can already see that, which is why most people don't last at certain jobs, especially if they're so introverted or not very social. If I were to work and move my way up to the ranks on the job, I mean, the supervisors would at least expect me to be more vocal. Like, when it comes to interacting with some of the coworkers there, it's kind of really like hard for me to relate because it seems like every time I get a chance to speak up, I would say something off-putting or just flat out weird. That's what's disturbing, is that I'm fully aware of it sometimes. I mean, I would have difficulty times letting it flow out, and some days on rare occasions it'll be easy going for me to speak my mind. So I get a lot of mixed reviews from various people or factions. Either they don't understand or do not care to reciprocate. So, like I said, yeah, it can be so cringe-worthy, and it always kind of struck me as uneasy at times. Like, I hate the fact that when I don't speak up or be more open, I always make myself seem as I'm incompetent. Like, I never could get my wording right the way I wanted to when necessary. I mean, low self-esteem might be at fault here, talking and ruminating so much to the point where I would become very self-conscious, whether things would backfire or whatnot, like, which is an additional con I would like to throw in. Like, the supervisor or higher ups know me so well in the past that you know, I would say little to nothing but do the work. But I'll have to save that topic for another video of what it's like being a hermit. So the question is, damn, I need to slow down. So the question is it worth me going back to my old job? I would say yes and no. I mean, the yes part is the environment there is relaxed and laid back. I don't have to worry about doing as much hard work as I used to. Like, I definitely would agree with the hours instead of going in too early or getting off too late. Like, I'm more familiar with how the company operates, which makes me a potential an asset to the company. Like, the no part is with the time cut short and getting paid less like I used to. This is my main source of income at the moment, even though it isn't much right now. Again, I understand that it's slow season, and then saving money is something important that they should do. Like, because it's actually kind of smart. You'll be losing a lot of money if you're just out here, sending these guys out here working all day. All right. So it's slow season, and you have to be patient. And I also, hold on, this phone's slipping a lot. So then again, since I'm not very social wise, I might be vulnerable being subjected to being taken advantage of, which is my problem. Like, it's not because I don't know about social cues or calibrations or anything like that. You know, the source traces back to being stuck at home for such a long time. You just cannot find anything to relate to anyone, which is the hard part. But personally, it might be problematic in the long run if I don't work and reevaluate myself beyond the half of my communication skills. Like I said, I pretty much have always been this way, as it dates back to my childhood days, high school, and being employed anywhere else in the past. When you're not vocal, you're likely to be held back at a degree where you're more likely to be subjected to unpleasant labels and stereotypes. Being viewed as not smart enough, the butt joke, and on several occasions, people would hurl derogatory or vulgar insults your way. Like, I've been in a lot of situations where I was too nice and losing money to people who don't deserve it, plain dumb, being slandered, overlooked, and mostly undermined. Like, I'm hypothetically speaking, this kind of self malpractice, sabotaging yourself and putting yourself down before putting yourself for others, is the worst thing that can happen to you in a workplace, by letting people walk you over. Like, what bothers me that I've already had people explain things to me extensively as if I'm not understanding anything, or whenever I get a chance to speak up, I'm always like constantly cut off, talked over, and in need of being corrected, or someone speaking for me as I'm looked at some sort of an incoherent being. Like, I've also wanted to add in addition of the reasons why I quit in the first place, simply not just because mental burnout, because it was the same mistakes I was making, not being heard enough, not getting enough recognition, which led me to being thrown under the bus. And there were signs of gaslighting and materials relating to favoritism. Again, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here just to stack up and go about my way. So I could say, like I said, not here to try to be friendly either. Sometimes you have to just be stingy. Like I say, that way I could find other opportunities if this job doesn't work out in the long run. The reason why I came back, because apparently no one else was willing to hire me and give me a choice anywhere else. So I gave this job another try. I mean, it's not a bad choice, but it's undetermined how long I will be here. Again, I had no other options in the first place. Hence, I really do enjoy the outdoors. This time I'm going to have to take the job serious just to stack up bread and not repeat the same mistakes. I'm just there to get paid, pay my respects, and be loyal, at least show full honesty. And let me know what you guys and girls think in the comment section below, and tell me about your boomerang experience of going back to an old job. Till then, I will see you in the next video, and peace.